Okay, let's take a look at the connected components workbench. So we'll double click it. It's a little slow starting up, so you have to give it a minute to get started. Okay, up and running. All right, it's kind of similar to RS Logix 5000, but it's quite a bit of difference. There's quite a bit of difference here. Okay, let's start off with the file. So I'll start off with a file, new. I have to change this theme or it won't record. Okay. So we'll start off with a new file, and we'll give it a name. Say motor starter. Got to use an underscore for your names. You can't have a space. You have to put an underscore. We'll say motor starter and create it. All right, and it's going to ask for controllers. And then we got to go to Micro850. It's the only one that works with the simulator. And then you'll see we get the 2080 LC 48QWB sim. This is the simulator. We click on that. And it says we're version 12. It's the only version we have. And we say select. We select that. And there it's selected. Now we add that to our project. Add to the project. And it's going to put it in the Explorer tree over here in the project organizer. Okay. We'll just give it the name of Micro850. We'll call it Sim. Micro850 Sim. And we don't need a description. And download source code will be yes. And we'll save that. Let's go to the program. Let's just go to the program. We'll save that. Now go to programs right here. And you'll see there's nothing there. So we got to click, right click, say add. A new ladder diagram. It's a little different than 5000. So add new ladder diagram. And it used to be called main program in 5000. Well, you can call it whatever you want. We can rename it. Rename. And we'll call it motor starter. It's the name of our program. Okay. So double click the program. Okay, we got a ladder here. And these are the default theme. This is the default theme. This is the IEC symbols. We're probably more familiar with the Logix. You can switch the theme to Logix. Okay, and these here are Logix symbols here. So we can drag down a symbol. You'll see a plus sign instead of the green dot. You drop it there. Variable selector pops up. And we're going to click on I/O. Micro850, and then we're going to come down to inputs. So this is digital in 0, digital in 0, and we're going to click on that one, highlight it, and we'll call it stop button. Whoops, hit the caps. Stop button, and hit OK. We get a stop button there. Now we're at a start button. So that's our stop button. Here's our start button. Again, we hit I/O, Micro850, come down to digital input 1, select it, and put start button. And hit OK. We get a start button. Now we need an output. So here's our energized output, output energize. Bring it down. We get our cross there. Click on our I/O. This time we want a digital output, so we'll pick the digital output 0. We'll highlight that. And we'll click in here and we'll put motor. I can put motor starter. Motor starter. Right here. Okay. Now, just drag down a branch because we want a seal in circuit. So this is the stop button has to be pressed, and then we momentarily press the start button, and that'll start our starter. But as soon as we let off our start button, the starter quits running. So we have to create what's called a seal-in circuit. And this is the most popular type of circuit used. It's used everywhere for motor starters. So we create a branch across this. Now this is OR, so it's stop and start or seal-in circuit. So what we're going to do is put OR motor output. So we'll come down here like this. And we'll hit our I/O. And we'll just click on the 0. The output here, the motor starter. That way when it comes on, just like an auxiliary contact, it seals itself in. And we hit OK. And you got a seal-in circuit. Okay, now we're ready to download. But we got some things to do first. Before we can download, we'll have to, we go to Tools and Micro850 Simulator. So Tools and Micro850 Simulator. Let me make sure this is working here. Yes. I had problems with my color scheme. Okay, so what you see is we got an IP address here of 16, and that's the default address of my computer. And I want to create other addresses besides my computer so I can communicate between different, like the SoftLogics and the Micro850. So the SoftLogics, it'll hold up to 6 cards, and so we can have 6 Ethernet cards in there. And so we need IP addresses. We need at least 2 Ethernet cards so we can talk back and forth with consume and produce tags and send messages. It'll communicate across the backplane. But if we use Ethernet cards that go into it, it's just like 2 PLCs in the same rack. It's like one PLC is on the east side of the plant and one PLC is on the other side of the plant. I just can't keep this color scheme here. I don't know why. Okay. Let's make sure this is still recording okay. Yes. All right. Okay. So before we can download this, we have to set up some Ethernet addresses. We'll have to do this for the SoftLogics anyway. I did this in the SoftLogics installation video, but we need to do it again. So let's come down to our computer here and right click and click Open Network and Sharing Center, or we can go to the Start button, Control Panel, and Network and Internet, then Network and Sharing Center. So Network and Internet, Network and Sharing Center. And it puts you to the same place as clicking on here, which is faster. Right click and then pick that. So we want to change adapter settings. Then here you'll pick whether you got a local area network or a wireless network. You just click on the one you want and then double click it and you'll get properties. Okay, and here we want Internet Protocol version 4, ICP IP version 4. Highlight that and then click Properties. So highlight it and click Properties. And you'll see it's got obtain an IP address automatically. Well, there's a utility program you can download under the Learn Control Systems, learncontrolsystems.com operating systems page. You go to learncontrolsystems.com and you'll go to PLCs and you'll go to operating systems, and underneath there is utilities, and there's a utility, and you can download this directly. It's free, but you can download it from us as well. It's called Advanced IP Scanner, and this Advanced IP Scanner shows you everything that's on your network. And so you'll see here I'm at SoftLogic's home and I'm at address 16, and we'll come back to this in a second. Well, what we want to do is right click, we'll click on your start button and type in here command, and you'll see CMD, command exec, CMD exec, and click on that. Now in this DOS window, type in IP config, and this will show you what your address of your computer is and what your default gateway is. Now my address here is 192.168.200.16, and my router at home is 201. Now your address may be 192.168.1. some number, and your router would be 192.168.1.1. If you have a network like Spectrum or Cox Cable, Time Warner used to be the same thing, typically it has a .1. Some will have a .100 or a .10, but typically it's a 192.168.1.1. Okay, so now you know what your address is. We can add some addresses to this computer here. This computer needs a bunch of addresses, and as you see, I've got 16, then I've got 80, and here I've got, this is my point IO, and this is my flex IO, it's at 110, and this is my frequency drive, it's at 112, and then there's another couple pieces of Rockwell hardware here up to 113. Okay, I keep this for my IO and my frequency drives. So we need a space that's clear where we can get in about 6 addresses. So if we start at 100 and then we go 101, 102, 103, and 104 for our network cards, we'll be in good shape. Okay, this is called your network address, the 192.168.200. And these are called octets because they're made up of ones and zeros. And there's actually 8 ones here for each one of these octets. And it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. And we add these up to get 256 numbers. But we're starting at 0, so we only get 255. Now, 0 and 255 is reserved for broadcast. And then you're going to need an address for your router, your gateway, out your modem. So that's typically .1. So that leaves you 253 addresses you can put on your network. So when they say the network address, that's 192.168.1 probably for you, .200 for me. Okay, what we're going to do is come to our network. Move this over here. When we come to our network, double click it, and we're going to click on use the following IP address. And then I'm going to put in 192.168.200.100. As you see, I'm 16, but I'm going to change it to 100. Click on the subnet mask, it'll fill in, and then put in your default gateway. Here's your default gateway. Remember to get this as ipconfig. That's all you have to type in. 192.168.200.1. Now for your DNS server, what you do is you can put in your default gateway, and typically that'll get to your ISP, Internet Service Provider's DNS server, and that's domain name server. So in other words, I'm trying to find Microsoft.com or Google.com or YouTube.com. These all have addresses, and we don't know the addresses. So we just put in YouTube.com or Google.com, and the domain name server will find the address and take you to it. But we can use Google's domain name address. We can use Google's domain name server. It's just as good. And so just put in 8.8.8.8. And the alternate DNS server would be 8.8.4.4. Okay, now we get this information here. We need to add the addresses we need for SoftLogics and the addresses we need for our Micro850 simulator. So we click on this Advanced tab. Click on Advanced. And you'll see we have our address in there. We just added 100. All we do is click Add. We can add more addresses. You can put like 8 or 10 addresses on a card. It's fine. So click Add. I'll put in 192.168.200. Remember, yours might be .1. And now put 101. I'll add another one to it. And then I'll hit OK. Then I'll add another one. That's for my first SoftLogics card. Then 192.168.200.102. Oops, 102. You might want to add 4. You might want to add 4 Ethernet cards, just like you're talking back and forth to 4 PLCs. You can do that. So you can just add a couple, or you can just add 3 extra ones, and we'll just have, all you need is 2 Ethernet cards to do messaging and consume to produce tags like their 2 PLCs. So I'll put in one more for the Micrologics, 192.168.200.103. Okay, and then we just hit OK here. Here's our addresses in there. And we just hit OK. And then hit OK again. Hit this OK again. Do not click that validate. You notice there's a validate settings. If you click on validate settings, typically it'll change you back into DNS. Back into dynamic host connection protocol. And you'll have this obtain IP address automatically, and all of your work goes away. So do not check this validate settings upon exit. Leave that alone. Leave that unchecked. And click OK. Then click close. And then click close again. And we'll close this out. Okay. Now we got all these addresses in here. We can verify that. Go to our DOS window and type in ipconfig, and hit enter. And you see we got all those addresses in there. Now if we do our IP scanner, it'll show they're all connected to the 960 SoftLogics controller, which would be my PLC, my engineering station, which I run the SoftLogics on. And it starts up there, and it changed. And notice the 16's gone. And now I got SoftLogics as 100, 100, 101, 102, and 103. We've added these addresses in here. Okay, so we're good to go. and we see we're clear. There's no conflict. That's why you can use this to find out if it's communicating to a piece of equipment, if you can see it, and make sure there's no address conflicts. Close this out, close this out. Got to change my color scheme again. I don't know why it's messing up on me. It won't record the dialogues on this component workbench, or see the, unless I use this high color scheme, it just won't see the micro logic simulator when I'm recording. Okay, now we get the micro logic simulator. Now we can, let me close this out and open it again. We'll go to Tools and Micro Logic Simulator. Micro 800 Simulator. Okay, now you see we get the address of 100. Now it's changed the address to 100. If we drop this down, you'll see we have all these other addresses in here. And I'll pick 103. Now, if you don't have a network card, this 127.0.0.0 software loopback interface is for if you don't have a card, you want to test software. We don't want to do that. My screen just changed again. Should have done this in Windows 10. Okay, so I don't know why it keeps changing on me. Okay, now we can see it again. Okay, now we're set to 103. All right, we're going to start the device. So you click on Power On, and you see the power came on. And this is already in run mode here. We can put it in remote program mode. It was in run mode. Now we're in remote program mode. This is remote. This is program, run. This is program, run. This is program. And this is remote control, remote program run. Okay, so we're in remote program run. All right, we've saved our project, and now we're going to come to communications. I don't know if configure drivers works or not, because soft logics, it does not. So we just go to our buttons here are download and upload the program. So we can upload the program from the PLC into the programming software, or we can download from the programming software into the PLC. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to download the program into the PLC. So we'll hit download. And here's what the PLC looks like. And you see it says build 1 succeeded, 0 fails, 0 up to date, and 0 skipped. All right, so we click the download button, the connection browser comes up, and we see we got Ethernet IP. And if we bring this out, we'll see we got our micrologics in here. Now, this is an old one I had in here, so it's gone. And in a second, I'll remove that. That's why it's X'd out. Man. Okay, remove. Okay, we're going to download into the Micro850 simulator. So we click on that and click OK. And I got to change my color scheme again. I don't know why this keeps doing this to me. Okay. And it says download. We download. And it says, do you want to change the remote run to execute the controller project? And we say yes. And it says the simulator can only run for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the simulator will be switched to program mode automatically. and you click OK, and we'll click on our program. There's our program. I got to change this stupid color scheme again. I got to get a new card, I guess. We're usually running in 8.1 or 10. Should have done this in 10. Okay, now we can see the controller, and here's the controller, and it's in run mode. All right, so now if we click on the input, here's your stop button. This is the IOEMDI00, which is what we have right up here. If I click on this, it'll highlight, and you see it got red. It's true. Now we click on the start button right here, which is 1. Click on 1, and the output comes on. Let go of the start button, and the output stays on. Hit the stop button, and it goes off. Put the stop button back on, let go of it, it comes back on. Momentarily push the start button, 1, and it seals in, and it stays on. Okay, there's the basics of how to program in the micro simulator, Micro800 simulator. This is a Micro850 is what they're using. Wow. I guess I'm going to get a new card. Okay, so there's 850. So if you want to stop it, just go to program mode and then put it back in remote. Power on switch won't turn it off, it just turns it on. And then just close it out when you're done with the simulator. Okay, and the controller was lost because we turned it off. So it goes out of run mode and back into program mode. And again, save your project before you download in case you had any variables that change if you did online. And that's it.